I feel safe with all these officers in here. I hope y'all come back during public comment on Thursday. Appreciate the support. We're going to now resume this committee hearing, and before I have members ask questions for a brief second round, I'm going to turn the floor over to Commissioner Bethel, who will show the video that we were attempting to show earlier today. Commissioner Bethel, the floor is yours, sir.
We're going to give it one more shot. I appreciate it, Council President. As you know, I opened up the session, wanted to share, well, part of my comments was showing a video of the work that we're doing and the investments that are made by—
excuse me 1 second. Council, be at ease. I just want to make sure we're showing you respect with a level of quietness as we start off the second half of the Council Committee of the Whole.
All right, thank you again, Council President. So as I indicated in my earlier opening, I talked about, just showcasing some of the work and the men and women in the department. So I thank you, and I thank this body allow us to put it on the record. I think we got the technical things figured out. I want to thank your entire team and have at it.
Elevating the work the men and women of the Philadelphia Police Department do to keep the diverse communities throughout the city safe is what matters. And to see your support of the work is paramount to our success. When residents call us about illegal dumping, loud disturbances, abandoned vehicles, open-air drug activity, or chronic disorder on their blocks, they're not just asking for enforcement. They're asking for dignity, stability, and a sense of safety in their everyday lives. Because of your support, we're able to deploy officers not just in response to emergencies, but proactively, disrupting cycles in neighborhoods before they escalate into serious crime. Technology plays a huge part in how we work to prevent crime throughout the city. We have access to 6,500 cameras. That access makes us more effective as a department. The launch of our drone as a first responder program deploys autonomous drones to 911 calls and critical incidents, arriving before or alongside ground units to deliver live situational awareness, tactical intelligence, and enhanced safety for the police officers and the public. During the Philadelphia Marathon, a drone assisted the police department in locating a young man with special needs and safely reuniting him with a family member. From the time the teenager was reported missing, it took officers just under 8 minutes to locate him. The automated license reader is a controlled camera system that automatically captures images of license plates and alert investigators in real time with identifying and recovering stolen cars. The signal sensor sidearm ensures that the moment an officer draws their weapon, their body-worn camera is automatically activated. The in-car camera system further supports this effort. When officers respond to rapidly evolving situations, these cameras capture key moments inside and around patrol vehicles. E-bikes have been a game changer for the department. They allow officers to navigate neighborhoods more effectively. They now cover more ground, navigate heavy congestion, respond faster to calls, and engage more directly with the community. We'll be adding 50 more e-bikes to our inventory. They will be deployed into commercial corridors citywide. While we were able to utilize grant money to bring these technologies to our department, the ongoing support of City Council will be instrumental in keeping these tools on Philadelphia's public safety tool belt. The Office of Community Advocacy and Engagement puts the victims first. Being strategic in placing someone to oversee this unit that deeply understands how crime can affect individuals, families, and entire communities is important to the work. Creating this office allows victim advocates to give support, compassion, and meaningful resources to families who have experienced trauma due to crime. We believe all victims are entitled to justice and, when possible, a sense of closure. Kensington has become a focal point in this conversation, not because it defines our city, but because it reflects some of our most complex challenges. Because of funding, we've been able to increase officer presence in targeted areas of Kensington, not just for enforcement, but for engagement. Officers are walking beats, building relationships with residents and business owners, and working to restore a sense of order block by block. All of this work and so much more culminates to what is inside this 5-year strategic plan. Every page explains how we're moving beyond traditional policing to establish a holistic, department-wide framework of public safety. We could not have accomplished this by ourselves. The plan was put together with several hundred voices from across the city. When this plan is put to action, we can continue to allocate funds toward programs that make a difference, such as the Juvenile Diversion Program. This program redirects a young person away from the justice system and those cycles of arrest and incarceration, and pushes them toward mentorship, education, workforce development, and community-based services, essentially giving them a second chance. Now, let's get to work.
Feel like clapping. Very well done, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Very informative as well. I saw in the news, though, you have a behavioral health outreach team that deals with the homelessness. But it was a young lady who was I think she's either a new officer or newly assigned. It was on the news a couple weeks ago.
We have our CERT unit, we have our behavioral health unit. I'm not sure, Mike, familiar with somebody being on the news recently?
They were down on the Parkway, and the cameras was following them, and they were doing an interview. Okay, don't worry about it.
I apologize.
All right,
I
well,
missed
still
that one.
another kudo as well.
Well,
So,
we appreciate it.
somebody doing something good, but I did see it and thought it was very, very interesting because the young lady was talking about, and her partner was talking about how people may interact with her versus her partner, right? And she just talked about, having a sense of compassion, how she interacting and talking to the homeless population. It was outside the Parkway near the library, so.
No, I apologize for that. I mean, we have a couple of entities that we work. We have the homeless team that works downtown with behavioral health. We have our CERT team that works with clinicians from Meraki who work with police officers. It could have been that as well. And our service detail that works downtown as well. So I'm glad we had a great story. I apologize, I missed that one.
It's okay. I'm going to be brief. In the members, we also have Department of Prisons that we have to address as well. But give me an idea of the work you're continuing doing with the Gun Violence Task Force, also the use of the jury indictment process that I know the district attorney has been using to go after these gangs, which I think seems very effective thus far. And then just give me an idea of how you're moving forward with your crisis response team as well. I know after Walter Wallace incident, the crisis response team was developed just to make sure that when, officer arrives on the scene, the person having some level of mental health issues is being addressed properly. But my main thing is also that gun violence task force.
Yeah, so the Gun Violence Task Force, which Commissioner Venor and the team work in collaboration with the DA's office, is going extremely well. I mean, part of that work as member of his shooting investigation group, oftentimes his men and women from homicide are working with the DA's office as they go through the process of using the grand jury for indictments. You saw most recently, the announcement of our indictment. One of the other layers of that is working with our federal partners. So, our federal partners are working in collaboration with that. Their violence team, is really doing a phenomenal job of supporting us as we bring all of that, information together into the grand jury. As you know, the grand jury is a phenomenal place for us to bring forth the continuum of behavior, the criminal enterprise, the drug element, and bring all those elements to bear into that one setting. So that's going extremely well, and we look forward to continuing that process. As it relates to the crisis intervention team and the CERT team, I would say, coming back to the department, it was probably one of the best things I've seen being away from the department and what the team has done. I know Commissioner Kramer led that work, and Dr. Best is here now, who oversees our behavioral work as well. First starting in the 911 process. I know, Councilman Gaudier was involved in that, and but we have almost 50,000 call jobs that have been tagged as it relates to when a call comes in. They're screening with specific screeners. If it's maybe a drug issue as it relates to behavior, mental health issue, those jobs are screened, and then those jobs are either sent out to a crisis intervention team. Almost 85% of our department is trained in crisis intervention team. Commissioner Healy has led that work, so they give that to someone who has the expertise and the skill set. But then we also have our CERT team. They, working with clinicians, are deploying weekly throughout the day. I can tell you just my personal anecdotes. I can't tell you how many cops are on the air. Is there a CERT team available? Is there a CERT team available? They get it, right? They see what they've been doing. Last year alone, they had 815 calls, 804 engagements, 74 of them juveniles, veterans. I mean, a part of that process, engaging them with 30 engagements of that. 115 have been connected to services. 302 process, the social workers have supported that, 165. So having a social worker to be able to do that, the CERT team has done about 27. I can go down the list and really rattle it out, but it is going absolutely phenomenally well. We are looking to expand as we build up our staffing because we see the immense value they have in being able to come into a situation. I will give you a quick story. As the chief of school safety, I had a young child who went on the roof of a school. I won't get into where. And I watched the officer go up the ladder to the top, but I watched the co-responder go on the other side of the fence and talk the child down, right? And so that, and when you see that in action, that was my experience. I think we're definitely set us up. Again, we thank the body for supporting that work because, again, you're seeing the benefits of when you invest in this work. Some resistance probably early in the process, but we're all in now, and it's working well.
That's what's up. I want to acknowledge the work of my colleague, Councilmember Kendra Brooks. She led that effort after the Walter Wallace shooting, particularly around the budget and making sure that we had the proper funding to support that unit. It really kind of changed how we do law enforcement as it relates to those who have mental health issues. So thank you and your team for really embracing it and continuing using it as one of the tools in the toolbox.
We even answered, we had a comfort dog, man. We have Bailey. One day I'll bring him into you. You would fall in love with him. But we have a comfort dog who also helps us in that space when they go into, and that's going phenomenally well.
Okay, I don't want to talk about dogs because I lost mine last year, so.
Sorry for your loss.
But I get it. I might have to come talk to Bailey as well because it's rough, y'all. Y'all have no idea, but But thank you and your team for being on the case, particularly when it comes to mental health, and also what's near and dear to me is just the issue of gun violence. And so I'm going to ask members just be direct in your questioning, be direct in your response, because obviously we have Department of Prisons being here, so this is going to be a brief second round so we can address Department of Prisons. And so to kick us off this session, he wasn't here for the first round, Councilmember Nicholas O'Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll pass to the next member.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmed.
Thank you, Council President. I'll be as direct as possible. It's a follow-up question on human trafficking, and I wanted to know the training of our police officers on the street, on the beat cop, with respect to human trafficking, and how we are apprehending those who are doing the trafficking, those who are consuming the trafficking, but not those who are being trafficked. Those three sets, how are we addressing that within the police department?
So as you know, Councilwoman, we're still moving through that process. I don't think we started the training of our men and women yet. The part of what your grant was to raise awareness was obviously a benefit for us. So I will not say we've done the training yet. We will move to that process and hopefully move that quickly before we get to the FIFA events. But that's a process. It's a challenge, and we have 5,200 men and women to get them into the training space. But part of that is the awareness. So part of that is setting up a hotline. The Special Victims is going to be setting up a hotline to make sure we do. So we have an operational plan so they know what we're doing. We also will be doing the preparation meeting, working with the FBI and others as we go through that planning process. So we're moving in that direction. But I thought about you the other day and why what you described in the work is so important. They made an arrest, I think, last week of a trafficking. A young lady from, I think, Louisville, Kentucky, who goes online on a chat. It's on a Reddit. The Reddit chat, the Reddit group was a Reddit runaway group chat. In that chat, she said that she wants to run away. An individual here in the city of Philadelphia said, well, okay, you can come here. Send her a ticket. She came here. Part of that was engaged in sexual activity and taking pictures with her. Finally, after a period of time when she realized she was in a trap, she called her, I think, a relative who ultimately called police, and Frank and them team and Special Victims was able to make the arrest. And at that moment when I was reading that white paper, I said, you absolutely highlighted why this work is so important and why we need to make sure we're engaged. It was that simple and that easy to be able to draw that young lady from Kentucky here to the city of Philadelphia by just giving her a ticket and a plane ride here. And so we do have some things to talk about we open up the awareness campaign, the things that you've brought to bear, the hotline. We will be doing that with our men and women. I won't say ask for grace because time is moving, but we have a lot of things happening at the same time and trying to make sure that minimally our men and women know what to do when they're in that scenario, to be able to call Special Victims through the hotline and the plan that we have, the response team that we're going to have for the FIFA activity. But I think your work and our work will continue well beyond this, because as you know, we're still in the infancy stages of really, really understanding how to dismantle this issue. But I thought about you in that white paper, and I appreciate the effort you're putting into this work.
Thank you for that. And you do get grace because we're embarking on this, but not much longer because we need to actually see a plan of action. But we also will be talking to the DA about what they're doing with who you are arresting in terms of prosecutions and that whole loop. So I thank you for the work. I thank your officers for understanding this should be a priority and to get the training, because this also directly, the training piece is really important, including I wanted to ask about, FPFAs and how when officers approach a domestic violence situation, how well they're trained to understand what is going on and how they can proceed. Because a lot of times, anecdotally we hear people just, officer goes, oh, no problem, and they leave. But if they were trained to really understand what is the dynamic that is going on, they might not have left, and that might not have resulted in somebody get either severely beaten or killed. So I just want to know that piece as well.
Yeah. And a nugget to that, when you talk about training, Dr. Murray is here, who joined my team for Dr. Murray joined our team to take over our training, professional development and training at the academy. So we split our academy. And part of what Dr. Murray, she comes from 30 years of being a principal and a school leader, moving into public practice, and Amazon helped create their leadership, able to lure her into our field of work. And so one of the things she's working on, a learning management system, because with these trainings, like we can use, that model to be able to train our folks more effectively. And we're on that because we have a city model. We're going to be able to join to the model they have in the city and build out our structure so we can train our men more efficiently and more effectively with trying to bring them into a classroom. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Commissioner, for being so proactive.
Yes, ma'am.
And being willing to try new things. I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Chair of the House, Councilman Ketsi Lazada, then Councilman Jamie Gauthier, then Councilman Kendra Brooks.
Very quickly, I just have one question, and that is about the use of ShotSpotter. I know that we've responded to some violent crime and shootings in the district and in the city, and so I'm curious. I know that the city of Camden was able to significantly reduce their gun violence by using ShotSpotter. Do we use ShotSpotter? How effective is it? What is the impact on response? And if we don't, why? And what are some of the controversies around it?
Yeah, ShotSpotter, I mean, it's great, but I don't sometimes think as effective as indicated. I mean, we've done the research, so part of what you see, so for example, PHA has ShotSpotter. We don't have ShotSpotter. I talked about a model we have, and it's in the 22nd district. And that day, it had 771 jobs where it came into our radio that ShotSpotter was deployed since May 1st of 2025, just under a little over a year. And 26 of those occurrences where it was a confirmed shooting incident. So we weren't able to capture anybody, but that's 3% rate with that. So again, we have what's called acoustic gunshot detection system that we have deployed. That system, we have 436 activations, and 432 is estimated over last year. And again, it's still really inconclusive as to whether this tool is really just another tool in the toolbox, but definitely not a primary toolbox. I mean, we are getting some detections. We're seeing that absolutely. But the confirmed shootings and the founded shootings and getting us on location, we're not seeing a significant increase in that. And so, again, I'm not parsing it. I don't see that as a primary tool for us. We're far quicker to get a call from the neighborhood and somebody on the block than the ShotSpotter, which is a great tool, but I think something in the toolkit, but definitely not a primary tool.
Yeah, thank you. That was the only question I had.
Thank you. Do we use AI in any type of crime fighting, public safety tactics, just in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you go across the technology, AI is littered through everything now. So if my team was here from, still here from the drones, the AI technology is allowing the drones to not hit a wall. I mean, so my drones will not run into a building because it has technology in it to prevent it from happening.
Do our drones have heat-seeking capability?
Well, it has infrared, not heat-seeking, but infrared capability. So you can, during the day or at night, but easily at night, it can open up its FLIR to see if a body. That video you saw was during the day, and it still was able to show the person's body. We're going to be moving shortly. I think I shared before translations with our body-worn camera. So our body-worn cameras has the capacity to translate 120 languages. We will be launching that very shortly in our body-worn camera, so an officer, when he arrives and someone's speaking a different language, was able to hit the button, listen to that language, and then when he speaks, it will speak back to them in that language. That, again, is AI technology, transcribing of our body-worn cameras. Again, we won't be able to use that for court purposes because we have to have that validated, but it does not require. So AI is absolutely woven into all of the technology. LPR readers, the license plate readers, the AI is reading the tag and matching that up into the system. But that technology is very much rooted in the work that's underway. But what we do not do, and I know the AI conversation, is using that generative, we're putting our information in to build more information. really using it as part of what is built into the model that we're purchasing.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jamie Gautier, then Councilman Kendra Brooks.
Thank you, Council President. Commissioner, I thought I heard in your testimony that the number of youth going into the juvenile justice system had gone from 1,600 to 70. So first, can you confirm those numbers? And then can you talk about the elements of your juvenile justice diversion approach that has led to such a drop? And can you also tell us what's next for diversion?
All right. I did have juvenile on my cheat sheet, but I'm not finding it. So I'll talk through, and as John walks through some of the, pulls up some of the data. When I talk about, I think when you're talking about the school diversion, or?
I believe you quoted some numbers when you were giving your initial testimony. I thought you said that the number of juveniles going into the system had gone from like 1,600 down to 70.
Oh, yes.
And I took that to mean inclusive of every juvenile diversion program that we have. But if you can break that down somewhat.
Yeah. So what I reference is and my journey in 2013, when I was here as a deputy commissioner in 2014, and then I retired in 16, was around kids being locked up in the school district and the juvenile justice system. And in 2014, I had traveled around the country and became very much aware of the number of kids of color being put in the criminal justice system. Part of a national model that asked us this question: how are you going to change the number of black boys and girls going into the system and Latino boys and girls if the police kept locking up 100% of them? And so that journey would take me to a school district. As part of my work, I was here as a deputy, looked at the school district where we had 1,600 children being arrested in the school district every year. And it was a tragedy. And I tell people, I sit down, and President Johnson knows my story. I sat down, looked at a piece of paper, and I said, oh my God. You know, and it's catch me a kid who graduated from John Bartram in school saved my life. How the hell did we turn into a place where we're now locking up children? And so that would embark on my journey to reduce the number of kids being locked up in the school district of Philadelphia. And so we would do a school diversion program. The diversion program, the Department of Human Services, wherever they are, I love them. I appreciate them. I did not have any place to move young people to. And DHS would start in 2014 and been with us for 12 years now, using their CUAs to be able to divert young people to different programming. And so we would create a school diversion program, but I also became very much trauma informed. I'm a kid who grew up in a neighborhood, pull up by your bootstraps, who the hell cares about trauma? And I said, well, how's that possible when you got a 10-year-old child, put them in a cell block for 6 hours, and what was the impact on that? And so we would go about.
I remember that cheese sandwich, that cool tea. I think about it today as council president, but go ahead, sir.
And you know, I know we're talking about it. I put my daughter through the arrest process. I had my daughter arrested, ladies and gentlemen, on a Saturday morning. I walked her through the process, and it was there when it says and we were just filming it because I wanted people to know what it was like. Putting her through that process, I said to myself, I would never let anybody do this to my daughter, and why am I allowing it to happen to others? And so that would change the viewpoint. It's okay when it was happening to somebody else's. And so today, after great work, Dr. Goldstein from Drexel University and others helped us through this process. I mean, I'm proud to say that we had 70 young people who were arrested last year, and I'm proud of that, don't get me wrong, but from a system that used to do 1,600. Today, we're at 38. Today, we have 38 kids for a system that did 1,600. We've now expanded that into, I came back and I drove right back into my juvenile work. We now have a 3-tier process where we're diverting young people across the city of Philadelphia. I mean, those numbers over here, I can provide them to you, but we are diverting young people, and we're using age appropriate as well, so.
And what's next for that work?
Excuse me?
What's on the horizon for that work? What's next?
For that work, that is our process now. That is our next right now. We have a 3-tier process where we're diverting young people for a variety of simple assault. I mean, well, that's a little different category, retail theft. Most of our kids are being diverted today are in the community of retail theft. We also took an age appropriate. If a 10-year-old child shows up in a stolen car, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And it sure is not a criminal justice issue that a 10-year-old child or 11-year-old child, so we moved to an age-appropriate process too. So we get a 10-year-old or 11-year-old child, we're diverting that child into the into a diversionary model that makes that very effective. And we do that with our Juvenile Assessment Center. The JAC has been a great partner in that work. I see my partner leaning forward as his team, the JAC, comes under his charge, and we support that as we go through our work.
Thank you so much, and congrats on that success.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
And I just want to acknowledge that when I worked with then Commissioner Bethel in the Point Breeze area of South Philadelphia, and I know there was a time period where we just had significant gun violence, like every single day. We were on the ground, you, myself, Wiley Smith, right, and other community activists trying to get a grapple on this. And I remember you taking one of the young men under your wing, being a mentor, right? And that exemplifies your character beyond your position, because you got your own children to take care of. You did not have to take that young man under your wing and try to give him some guidance. I remember also working with then Captain Commissioner Ross. Went out Tasker, knocked on a young man's door. Got a decision you want to make, right? Because these guys kept shooting back and forth, Wilson and Tasker Park. And so we recognize that in the context of the work that y'all are doing, really putting your heart on the line and trying to get to some of these young people beyond just the typical, we can just lock them up. And to me, that's shifting the paradigm in how we address law enforcement, but it's also exemplifies your character in terms of the mission as well.
I know you want to wrap it up, but I can't tell you, when I looked at the sheet before we locked up, before we started our diversion, and the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of children we had locked up, and where they were going. If we knew that 50% of them would stay in the criminal justice system, man, what were we doing, right? And so that realization for me, it remains in my heart and my mind today, because I could have been any one of them, fate and circumstances. I didn't get caught, ladies and gentlemen. I just didn't get caught, right? And look where I'm at today. I'm leading one of the 4th largest police departments in America. And so those young people are out there, and I know your story as well, my friend. And so that's where we're going to continue to be that space. That is my legacy work. And Commissioner Healy's over there. He's been my ride or die guy through this process of writing all my MOUs and agreements. But we've been at this road, and it will forever be the most valuable thing I've ever done. No matter what you hear me say or hear you say, what I do, that is the most telling thing for me in my lifetime, is to be able to change the trajectory of young people's lives.
Thank you very much. We have Councilmember Brooks, and then we'll wrap up with Councilmember Phillips and bring up prisons. Member Brooks.
Thank you so much. I have some follow-up questions I didn't get to ask yesterday. And it's about a youth visa is an important visa that set aside victims of certain crimes who have suffered abuse and are helpful to law enforcement. We have heard that the city is denying far more youth visa applications than they were previously, denying many victims chances at legal residency. Let me just ask all these questions because they're all related to our ICE out legislation. In what situations is a U visa request denied? Does the city deny U visa applications on the ground that the person has an immigration violation? Chicago has a UNT visa police directive spelling out the U visa approved process. Does Philadelphia have a similar police directive? And my next round of questions is related to the license plate readers that you showed up there. How many functioning license plate readers does the department have? How does the department manage the data that is collected from the LPRs? How long is the data kept and who keeps it and who has access to it? And can outside law enforcement departments such as ICE access LPR data? And if so, could the police department let ICE access the LPR data?
So I think I'll have to follow up on some of those questions. I don't think I captured all of it, Councilwoman. One thing I can tell you that over the last 5 years, we received 1,054 total received U visas. 703 of those were approved, and 342 of those were denied. I can get you more detail as to what resulted in that denial. 2026 alone, we've had 60 applications. 32 of those were approved. 28 were denied, so that's a 53% approval rating in that regard.
And do we have like a directive that spells out the distribution of the
Yes.
UT visa?
Yes, I'm talking, Commissioner Healy, for the purpose of time, we can give you, but he said we do have a policy that outlines, it's a SOP, a standard operating procedure, so it's not a directive, it's an internal SOP.
Okay. And the other one around the license plates, read how many do we have in the city? How's that
So we
data
have,
stored?
I think we have over, so, yeah, no, I'm talking about total. So total number of, so one of the things that we have, that this body purchased over, I believe, 100 of those devices. However, when we installed the the in-car cameras, those in-car cameras have license plate readers attached to them. So that was able to be a multiplier of our cameras now. And we're able to capture that in our internal system. That information also goes through our Axon and our evidence.com to be able to capture, obviously, if we need it for evidentiary purposes. That is tracking a lot of activity, not just around whenever the police officer turns on his or her overhead lights, the interior camera, when they have somebody in the back of the car to make sure that we can see that full circle behind them, they have the ability to see inside the car. I can follow up with you as to how many. It's it's a lot of reading, quite a bit of reading as it relates to that. Your question was, I may have been missing your final question in that regard.
Yeah, Mace,
No,
how
we don't
long
share,
is it-
we definitely don't share that with ICE. We don't share that data with ICE as it relates to our license plate reader. They can't come to us and ask us if we saw a plate or something and put that in a reader. That's not what we do.
Okay, can we get that in writing, like who has access and how is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
information shared?
Yes, ma'am. Right now, we with the license plate reader, we minimize it. It can open up to a variety of things. We keep it in very finite categories, vehicle recoveries, so stolen autos are going into the system, things that may be from an investigative process. There was a shooting or some other high level. The investigators have access to that part of their investigative process. And so we were very, very narrow in the use of those. And because of that, and stolen autos, but we have a very strong policy around. So stolen autos, missing purses, and then alerts that we put into the system. But much of that work is being done by the detectives when we are solving cases and going after individuals.
Thank you so much, and I just want to add, it's been much easier working with you guys around this ICE data. I want to just thank you for all the cooperation and the support you gave us in trying to get to an answer around the legislation that we were able to pass out of committee yesterday. And I just want to say thank you. I want to thank the police department for being cooperative and kind of collaborative and moving it forward. I just want to let you know I appreciate that.
And I have to
That's a
carry
big
it
deal,
over to Commissioner Healy as an
Yes,
attorney
Commissioner
and
Healy has
everything
been
else.
amazing.
He's been very formidable in that space, and I appreciate his work.
Thank you very much. Chair House Councilman Dr. Nina Med.
Point of information, I just wanted to make sure I again reiterated that we just introduced a bill about the UNT visa around streamlining the process. We've been in conversation with the police department about this already. This is about designating how much time it takes to turn these around and to make sure that those who are applying understand why they were denied. So there was a few provisions in that just got introduced, so that would clarify the process much more. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew about that. Thank you, Council
Thank you
President.
very much. And last but not least, briefly, Councilmember Dr. Anthony Phillips, and we will move on to President. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to also reiterate that I believe that the police department is one of the top 2 departments in the city of Philadelphia right now, and I want to commend you all for your work. I just want to clarify from earlier, because I'm going to be really brief. I was asking, I'm profoundly grateful for what Town Watch Services does in our city of Philadelphia, but I'm asking upon you and your leadership, Director Greer, that you work with Anthony Murthy to identify neighborhoods in our district and districts across the city where we're going to do a strategic plan and say they're going to organize the town watch. They're not going to ask us what we're, to organize it. They're going to organize it and say, hey, can you help market it? We're identifying this neighborhood. We're going to do the town watch there, training there. Can you just help market it? We're going to market it too and hand out flyers. That's all I was just trying to say in that regard. And then I just had one last question. Public access to information. There's $25 million in funding that is given to grantees, organizations for Office of Violence Prevention. On the website currently right now, there's a list of names of individuals and the addresses, but it does not say how much funding they're getting. There's not a record. There's not at a nonprofit that I used to work with, or a lot of nonprofits, an annual report of what they've done in neighborhoods. And I would just like for that to be something that going forward that we see in terms of public access information. And then also, the last question is, what is your standard operating procedure when working with council offices when there is a victim, circumstance, or homicide?
Great questions, council member. The information, the more robust information rather on the grantees can be found on Philly Stat 360's webpage. There is information on our webpage, Office of Public Safety, but as you say, it is just a list. That's in Philly Stat 360. I believe you go to Public Safety tab, and then there should be a Grants tab after that. And with respect to the second part of your question, which now I'm just blanking on, I'm sorry, contact. We do have a rapid response standard operating procedure. Based upon our conversation this morning, it would make a lot of sense if we updated that standing operating procedure to make sure that there is explicitly outreach in certain incidences. As of now, as some of the council members will know, there are events that occur that we're reaching out to council members, we're doing stuff behind the scenes, we're doing everything that I described. And as you might suggest, again, having a standard operating procedure where we're now thinking about, okay, these are the types of cases where we for sure are going to check that box, makes sense.
Thank you so much, Council President, and we'll continue to have this conversation. Thanks a lot, Director Greer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Brooks, your light is on. Okay, no question? Okay. As there are no more questions from members of the committee, I want to thank you all for your testimony and for indulging us today. Thank you very much. Continue to keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lawhead, can you please call the next panel?
Michael Resnick, Commissioner for Philadelphia Department of Prisons.
I made a copy for you. Not for now. Just take it with you. Yeah. I think that's already in there. They came to meet with me.
And I'm looking to do it, if we can get somebody to do it.
I'm fine with that, yeah. The only reason
But it's a good idea,
The only reason
right?
they treat me is you're getting people that aren't even going to apply for it.
Yep.
So if they took and then they'll take anything going forward.
Right.
So,
Yes.
To me, it's a net win.
No, I think it's a good
You
idea.
guys have to make that decision.
Appreciate it, though. And I
Anything
figured
good for you guys?
we have Correctional Employee Week, the first full week in May. You want to come up
I'd
and
love to.
say hello to our folks and
No, I'd love to.
celebrate with them? That would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You guys are doing great work. And
Thank you.
and no complaints over there at Riverview either.
Nah,
They working well with you?
they're good neighbors.
Good. There was something, maybe you already corrected it. I don't know, but 3 months ago, there was that awful smell.
or, who's working in the street in front of CFCF? Is that PGW?
It's PECO, but they got a subcontract.
Okay.
Car and Duff.
Yeah, they're doing something down there.
Yeah, it went away.
Yeah.
At least I think it did.
Yeah. But they're doing a lot of digging and a lot of construction down there.
Okay. All right, good stuff.
Thank you, sir. Nobody wants to sit next to us, huh?
Yeah,
What's up with that?
they play in the back. That's all right. You call them up.
What's that? Yeah, you're good.
It looks better.
I need a pretty face at this table. You want to put your hat on the table? You don't have to wear it. Don't start. Did you like jump up and down? Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to take a moment first and foremost to thank all of you for your service to Philadelphia prisons. I've had the opportunity to work with Mike Resin over a significant period of time serving in his body, but to you and your whole staff, Michael, just thank you for all the things that you do and your team do on State Road, and just want to personally just say that personally. I also recognize that although we are public servants and we do this work, we're going to work that all of you do is significant only for the simple fact that it's not guaranteed that you come back home from your call of duty. It's never guaranteed on any given day anything can actually happen and you may not return back to your family. So I just want to start off by just saying thank you for your service and thank you for your dedication. And with that being said, just state your name for the record and please begin your testimony.
Certainly, and thank you for that acknowledgement, Council President. I'm Michael Resnick. I am the Commissioner of the Philadelphia Department of Prisons. And if you'll indulge me for a moment, Council President, I would like to go off script for a minute to discuss some matters that I think are important that this council hear about and that the public hears about. As you are aware, we are under court oversight in the Remick federal litigation, and we get monitored by a team of monitors, and they file reports twice a year. And we've just received the 8th monitoring report. And I want to share some of the highlights from that report as they demonstrate PDP's positive improvement during the mayor's tenure. These are all direct quotes from the monitors from the report. Based on compliance findings, PDP achieved more progress in this reporting period than it has in any previous reporting period since monitoring commenced. PDP has now achieved substantial compliance with 7 of 18 substantive provisions and with 21 of 37 sub-provisions. For the first time, PDP has achieved at least partial compliance for every sub-provision. In 2025, PDP increased security staffing by more than 60% from 241 new officers in 2024 to 395 in 2025. PDP's employee retention rates have continued to improve in this reporting period. Of the 395 new personnel hired in 2025, 362 remain employed as of December 30th, 2025. This represents an exceptional 92% first-year retention rate and an improvement from the 74% first-year retention rate for the period January to December 2024. PDP has also achieved substantial compliance with substantive provision number 5, healthcare. PDP's general medical and specialty care appointment backlog has been reduced from 1,587 backlog appointments in 2022 to 245 backlog appointments as of December 31st, 2025. And as we're sitting here in April 2026, I'm happy to say we have no medical backlog. Given that many jails across the country continue to experience both unprecedented staffing crisis and delayed medical and mental health care, defendants' progress in these areas is commendable. PDP has continued to exceed data production requirements pursuant to the sanctions order as part of the population reduction initiatives that reduced PDP's average daily population from 4,545 in the second half of 2024 to 3,526 in the second half of 2025. And the week of Easter, a couple weeks ago, we had a 3,281 population rate. PDP is now providing timely and adequate medical and mental health care pursuant to the agreement and is making notable progress with requirements for out-of-cell time and other substantive provisions. PDP has now distributed more than 3,000 tablets to eligible class members. During site visits in February 2026, class members offered positive feedback about applications and materials. Class members confirmed that they are receiving benefits of increased contact with loved ones through tablet calling, increased access to legal research, books, and other reading material, and access to self-guided educational, therapeutic, and spiritual applications. PDP procured and issued tablets quickly and efficiently for a large jail system and should be commended for a successful initiative. Monitoring of this sub-provision is therefore discontinued. Over the past year, PDP has initiated dramatic reform of RTS operations. PDP is developing an entirely new program model that increases opportunities for educational and rehabilitative program, vocational training, and reentry services. PDP's reentry efforts are impressive achievements in a short time frame. RTS has demonstrated exceptional skill, galvanizing support for reentry services and the participation of other city departments and numerous community partners. In this reporting period, PDP has shown improvement across virtually every substantive provision of the agreement. This improvement reflects commitment and sustained effort by PDP leadership and staff. And I just want to say that none of this progress could have been made without the budget this council approved, the tremendous support that we get from the mayor and her administration, the managing director's office, the law department, my colleagues across city government, my executive staff sitting here with me, and most importantly, the unsung men and women who work at the Philadelphia Department of Corrections and make this progress possible. So the mission of the Philadelphia Department of Prisons is to provide a secure correctional environment to detain people accused or convicted of illegal acts and prepare them for reentry into society in a clean, lawful, humane, and safe environment. PDP offers a wide variety of programming, including but not limited to job training, educational services, parenting classes, substance abuse services, medical services, behavioral health therapy, individual counseling, and group therapy. PDP helps advance the mayor's goal of building mutual trust and safety in the city neighborhoods by ensuring that returning citizens have access to resources to support their successful reentry to their communities. The Philadelphia Department of Prisons operates 5 facilities: the Kern-Fromhold Correctional Facility, the Detention Center and the Prison Health Services Wing, the Philadelphia Industrial Correctional Center, Mod 3, where we house certified juveniles, and the Riverside Correctional Facility. Our plans for 2027: the PDP will continue to increase our staffing and retention to improve the security of our facilities, as well as work with our partners in the Office of Safe Neighborhoods to coordinate violence reduction programs behind the walls. We will continue to provide increased out-of-cell time to enable the population to receive more services and programming, and PDP delivery of such services and programming includes medical and mental health care, substance use disorder treatment, educational and literacy programs for all inmates, but especially vulnerable and underserved individuals during incarceration in preparation for their release. Our plan for 2027 and beyond remains broad-based and consider most areas throughout the Philadelphia Department of Prisons and support our primary goal, which include continue recruitment and hiring and our promotional efforts, continue partnership with our criminal justice partners to achieve the goal of lowering the jail population, continue technological use of the medical monitoring devices, specifically within the first 5 days of admission, which allows medical staff and security to be alerted when newly admitted individuals who are medically vulnerable and who are going through severe withdrawal start to experience warning signs of medical emergencies. As an aside, we had an issue last night at the Kern Fromhold facility on intake housing. An inmate's medical monitor went off. Staff and medical responded. That individual was treated for rapid heart rate and was sent out to hospital. Continue to provide medication for opioid use disorder and all substance use disorder. Continue to expand services of PDP Reentry Center, which opened in September 2025 and already demonstrates strong impact by serving as a centralized hub for individuals returning to Philadelphia from incarceration on State Road. The Reentry Center offers a range of coordinated services, including reentry planning, workforce development, job readiness, housing navigation, access to identification and public benefits, food and basic needs support, behavioral health and substance use referrals, and more. And to continue improving programs and services offered to the incarcerated population by the RTS Division, which manages discharge planning, education, counseling, vocational skills, and reentry services. That concludes my testimony and my commercial, and I'm available for questioning.
Thank you very much. Just want to have a question around reentry. Only 30% of sentenced individuals are currently participating in educational or vocational programs with a 60% assignment target for medium close custody inmates. What are the specific barriers preventing higher enrollment?
The barriers for preventing higher custody level individuals from engaging in the vocational services is a simple matter of security, Councilman. So if we have to move individuals to outside areas, we're trying to develop the Skills Center, which is a facility up on our campus. And in order to move people out of their facility and take them to the Skills Center, there needs to be adequate levels of security, not only for them to be transported there while they're there and returned to their home facility. But under the leadership of Deputy Commissioner Jaco, with Assistant Deputy Commissioner Archer and Assistant Deputy Commissioner Dr. Baker, as I said it earlier, we're taking a holistic look at how we provide services, and we are looking at reorganizing the way we provide those services to include more individuals in our population.
What new strategies, tactics, security protocols have been implemented since some time ago? I know some individuals escaped from State Road and was out on the run for a significant period of time.
Sure. Number one, Councilman, we just have more people. So we have more staff than any time in the past. So there are no units that are not manned by a correctional officer through the day and during the night. We don't have a situation where one officer is covering 2 or 3 housing areas. So we have staff assigned to every single housing area. The facility, go ahead. The facility where that incident occurred, we renovated the exterior and we put no-climb fencing on all of those yards to make it, I won't say impossible, but virtually impossible for anybody to scale that fence again. We have drones that are tethered to our facilities that have a bird's eye view all around our campus. They do have alerts. If there's a heat signature that goes within a no-go zone, we're alerted to that. We will be developing with our partners at OIT a command center where all of our cameras will be integrated into one location. We have developed a security and intelligence unit, which is staffed by experienced security captains. They try to connect individuals in the facilities who are aligned or are warring factions Because what happens out on the street just translates into the facilities on State Road. So they're trying to interdict contraband, they're trying to reduce the violence. As I mentioned earlier, we work with our partners in the Office of Public Safety, Safe Neighborhoods, to bring those credible messengers that do the outreach on the streets to come behind the walls and work with our population to reduce the violence inside. We've also expanded our canine force. We've utilized Tech 84 body scanners to prevent the introduction of any dangerous substances or contraband. So and we also are integrating an RFID system. So every inmate has an armband with an RFID chip in it, and all the officers use props. All the officers use a Spartan device. So nobody goes anywhere or moves anywhere without the officer tapping the RFID band and then sending that inmate somewhere, and when they get to where they're going, they're received. So we have a constant count, and we constantly know where everybody is.
Okay. And last, have you changed the release time where there was an incident where a young man was released in the middle of the night, and within 15, 20 minutes, on the site was murdered, right? And so he left in the middle of the nighttime. Whoever he had beef with decided to show up and probably was told that he was coming home. And you kind of segue into this question based upon your saying whatever goes on the streets also goes on behind State Road, which I'm very familiar with. What's the new protocol since that time?
So legally, Councilman, when someone's bail is paid and we are no longer capable of holding them and detaining them, we are obligated to release them from our custody. We do releases throughout the night, except for the females. And we contracted with a bus service. So we have a bus that sits on our campus, and people who are discharged after, what is the time? 9 o'clock. They can go over to the driveway by the House of Correction and get on the bus and be taken to specific designated drop-off points.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Chair recognizes Councilmember Nicholas O'Rourke, then Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmed. Member Brooks, your light was on. Is it still on? Yeah. Okay, all right. Councilmember Nicholas O'Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon.
You passed last time, Councilman.
Indeed. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a few though, but I want to begin first by commending you. So much work has been done, and I think folks have been, willing to say it, but I think we ought to pause sometimes and really sit in our wins. You have done a yeoman's job at reducing the prison population. And I think, and if there were more people in this room, I'd ask everybody to give you a round of applause for that work. And I'm going to thank you for that work to make it happen. And you've kept it down, which is something also to be commended. Historic lows that we're seeing. And in my decarceral mind and all of that, it really is a bright day to see this happen. It's a testament to you and your team's work for what you've been able to do heretofore. So thank you. To that end, though, what is the current population versus designed capacity? And how has the reduction in the population actually impacted conditions? I know that we've talked a bit about it, but if you could just speak to it on the record, specifically like outdoor time and other programming that's related to outdoor time.
Sure, so we are at 33, if I'm reading this right, 3323 today. We have 3147 in population on State Road. The additionals are individuals who are out of our custody but still under our jurisdiction. So 3,147 individuals are on State Road today. With respect to design capacity, I don't want to get into what I think the design capacity is, but I think we all can remember a time back when we had close to 10,000 people. So maybe the jails weren't designed to hold 10,000 people, but they held 10,000 people, almost. So we are under our rated capacity, is what I would say. We have certain housing areas that are not populated. We have certain areas over at the detention center that we're just not using any longer. So I think the fact that we have 3147 in population and we have 400-ish new correctional staff, more than we had last year, I think it's obvious. And these were the things that I told the mayor when she and I met to discuss this position, that we need to lower the population and we need to increase our staffing numbers. And we've been able to accomplish those two things. So I think the fact that we have less people in population and more staff just shows that more inmates or the population is out. They are out more for the better part of the day. They get to go to their programs. They get to go to their visits. Now that they have tablets, they're able to do video visitations with their family members. They're able to access entertainment and education materials on those tablets. They're able to go to the rec yards. We don't let them to go outside, but there are rec yards. At the detention center, there's outdoor rec because it's just a lower custody level.
Gotcha.
And those inmates go to the gym, 2 hours? And then outdoor rec if weather permits for 2 hours.
Okay.
So we are very, very close to what I would call back to normal operations.
Very, very close to what we would call back to normal operations. That's really good news. And again, just want to commend you and the work that you've done on that. God, get that bell came quick. Okay, let me get at least one more in and hopefully I can get another round. As far as I understand, the medical bracelet initiative has been reported as being successful for helping staff respond to health crises in real time. What's been your assessment of the initiative and what plans do you have after this particular pilot?
So this is the Foresight Medical Monitor, and every inmate that comes in to receiving in CFCF or females over at PICC, they're explained what this is and what the purpose is. It's put on, it's secured. They wear it for 5 to 6 days, and if there is a change in vital signs that this monitor detects, it will alert on the unit, in unit control, and in the medical area. And the only person who can turn off the alert is a nurse, so somebody's job is to respond to the alerts. And we do intake about 40-ish people every single day. So it's quite a number of individuals who are on active monitoring throughout our system. If the band loses contact, it will go off. If an individual is exercising and their heart rate goes up, it'll go off. But this has the capability of learning what an individual's base vital signs are. So exercise will be learned, right? If an individual is in distress, an alert will go off. People will respond, security staff and medical staff. If there is an emergency, they will be attended to like the emergency that happened last night. An inmate's band went off, it alerted. He was having irregular heart rate. Staff responded. He was, I believe from the flash report, he was sent out to the hospital to be evaluated. So we've had several incidences where people were treated at the medical unit in the jail and returned to their housing unit. We've had several incidences like last night's where the individual had to go to the hospital. We've had several incidents where people were admitted to the hospital in ICU. So one person's life saved, I think, is worth the initiative and the process.
Perhaps it sounds like there's data being collected with this, and probably maybe not data everyone's interested in, but could be. And I'm curious then about who actually manages that, like who has access to the data that is in those. And I guess there's a more structural question around what is the general data privacy management between
so
PDP
the
and the vendor?
The data collected from these devices is medical, so it goes into our medical record, our electronic medical record for the inmates. Our medical provider can pull de-identified information in terms of the number of alerts that went off, the type of alert that went off, and what was the outcome of those alerts.
Okay, all right. The bell rang twice. I'm taxing it, so I'll let you have that back, Mr. President. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Councilmember Kendra Brooks and Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmed.
Thank you so much. Before I get into my questions, they're mainly about, the first group of questions are about ICE. I just want to thank you guys again for experience that we had down at the Orchid and the farm, last spring?
Yeah, last spring.
It was one of my best experiences visiting the prison system and just knowing that we have that, and I still have the pictures of you guys running around with the chickens. So I'm gonna forever remember that. I saw you guys in uniform today. That's a long way from chasing chickens, but Thank you for those experiences that you're able to offer the inmates up at the prison system. And the next experience I had that was similar to that when I went to go visit the women at Muncie, and some of the programs they had there. So it's really good to see when programs are coming together and working for the people. So my questions around ICE. So in 2017, the Philadelphia Department of the Prisons implemented a new protocol providing that ICE will be given access to interview an inmate in one of the detention facilities if the inmate consents in writing to that interview. And to implement this, the Department of Prisons created a consent form to be given to any inmate that ICE wants to interview. So I'm gonna have a series of questions. So it is, how many inmates have signed this consent form since 2025? What types of explanations are inmates given about this consent form? Is it the policy for each inmate to have meaningful access to a lawyer before signing to explain the potential consequences of signing a form? And what languages is this form in and explanation provided in? And in general, in what situation does the prison employee notify ICE or federal authorities about an individual that they have interacted with, and when they do not?
I will answer your last question first, Councilman. We do not interact with ICE. We do not notify ICE of anybody who is in our custody that they may be interested in. What we do is comply with the law as announced by the Third Circuit. If ICE issues a detainer and a valid judicial warrant signed by a judge, we will detain that individual. If we just get an ICE detainer with no judicial warrant, we will not hold that individual beyond their release date.
So the information they shared about a consent form is all not true?
There is a consent form, but 2020? July 2020 was the last time this occurred where someone was asked to consent to speak to ICE. We haven't done that in 6 years.
Thank you, thank you. And my next question is about how many people currently incarcerated require accommodations for disabilities, and what is the breakdown for intellectual disabilities and for physical disabilities, and what sort of accommodations are most typically, do you most typically see?
So unfortunately, our Director of Medical Operations was not able to be here with us today. I know that we do follow and are obliged to follow the Americans with Disability Act. I can get you specifics. I just don't have it available to me.
Okay, we'll send these over in writing. I kind of wish we had to, because I knew I would have to rush through.
Very
and
good.
the last group are around family visits. How many in-person visits occur weekly? And are there barriers that you are aware of that adversely impact visiting, like transportation, scheduling, or staffing? How many spots are there each day for people to have an in-person visits? How does this compare to pre-COVID levels? And are you planning on expanding in-person visits back to anywhere near pre-COVID protocols?
So as you're aware, Councilman, our facilities are not the easiest to access from most parts of the city. That's one of the reasons why we expanded the tablet program, because individuals can visit with family members via the tablet. They can have that interaction, they can communicate, they can see each other. The hope is that more individuals will stay in contact with their family members through the tablet without having people trek all the way up to the facilities. I mean, I see women coming up to the facility carrying small children with them, and I can imagine the burden that is to get yourself up to CFCF or one of our facilities and try to visit. So I think, and it's my hope that more individuals will take advantage of the tablets. But I don't know if Deputy Commissioner Buford can talk about the numbers we have available in the visiting room.
So, Xavier Buford, First Deputy Commissioner. Roughly during the week, it's over 175 visits across all facilities. Only on the weekend, our 7 youthful offenders, they're the only ones that gets visits on the weekend because they're in school during the week. So what we did, we came up when COVID hit, we came up with an appointment once we started allowing visits again. So now everyone has to go on our system and make an appointment. That allowed us to get out of the first come, first serve basis and to strategically seat people in the visit. So each visiting room holds, CFCF holds the most, but each of the visiting rooms at one time hold a little over 30 people per.
Okay. So do you think that the visitation numbers will increase similar to what it was pre-COVID, or people are just taking advantage more of the virtual opportunities that you are offering now?
We have a lot less inmates than we had pre-COVID, so I don't think we'll see pre-COVID numbers just because the numbers of inmates aren't there. And again, like I said, we're not a very easy place to get to from most parts of the city, so I think more people would opt for a virtual visit than to come all the way up to the facilities.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmed.
Thank you, Council President. Good afternoon, and
Good afternoon.
Congratulations to you, Commissioner Resnick, and your entire team. The treatment of those incarcerated directly reflects a society's civilization, ethics, and humanity, and we are getting there, so I'm really, really pleased. I had two specific questions. One, and also congratulations on your ongoing work with the Food Trust. I wanted to know, can you give us an update as to how that work is happening in that partnership? Nutrition is critical for all of us, including those who are incarcerated. So if you could comment on that, and then I have one more question.
Certainly. So as you're probably aware, the Food Trust comes up and they provide education to the inmate population on good, healthy food choices and nutrition. They continue to do that work. Prior to my arrival, they had been engaged in a data gathering undertaking that was ultimately going to result in a presentation and a report. I found out about it sort of roundabout. I wasn't aware that they were doing that work specifically. And when I got a chance to see the report, I was a little concerned because the report was reflective of data they were collecting in 2023 and before. So it did not match our current operations. And I'm aware that our department is not perfect. We still have some work to do. We have made great progress and great strides. And one of the first things I had requested from our contract manager, Ms. Snyder, who's here, when our food contract went out for RFP, I wanted to make sure that we were able to provide an upgraded level of offerings, an upgraded menu, because we do hear complaints from the population, we hear complaints from council, we hear complaints from the advocates. A lot of what we're able to offer, we are limited because of our food production plant. We have a cook-chill plant. It's in CFCF. That plant makes all the meals for the entire system. It's distributed to the individual jails and rethermed and then served. So what that plant can manufacture and produce, that's what we're confined to. But working with our vendor, we were able to make improvements, enhancements to the meal. We worked with a consultant. I had them bring in a consultant to take a look at what we were offering, the nutritional quality of it. We work with the health department to make sure we're providing healthy, nutritious meals. We raised the calorie content. We put on the menu, the breakfast, lunch, and dinner menu, additional offerings. We've also provided snacks and smoothies to the population. So we have made great strides in the, look, nobody comes to the prison for the food, right?
No.
But
Yeah.
a lot of bad things can happen in our environment as a result of the food. So the food needs to be nutritious, it needs to be filling, it needs to be palatable, it needs to look good. So we made great strides in making those changes.
Yeah, and I know they're updating their report based on your feedback.
Right, we had a meeting last week with the
Yeah.
Food Trust, and they're going to update their report. We're going to be able to take a look at it and work with them to ensure that the data is fair and not to censor anything,
No.
right? To be fair and transparent. but just to make sure it's an accurate reflection of what's going on.
Yes, I think the issue was a lot of times things are on the menu, but anecdotally, that is not what people say that they're actually getting. So I know you're resolving that, so thank you. My next question is about data on sexual assault in the prison. Are you keeping that? Has it gone up, gone down? What are the resources, and how are you managing that space?
Yeah, we have PREA, the Prison Rape Elimination Act. We have PREA coordinators in every single jail. We have a protocol that we follow when a reported sexual assault comes through the PREA hotline or is reported to staff. Our medical provider is also involved. We involve the Philadelphia Police Department, Special Victims Units. As I sit here, I don't know the numbers for you, but we can make sure you get those.
Thank you. I would appreciate if we got the numbers sent to the chair of our committee. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Council President. And thank you again to you and all those who work. This is a difficult space to work in, and you clearly have made a lot of strides, and we're here to support you to make more.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from members of the committee? Mr. O'Rourke, you want to take us home?
Yes, sir, I would like to take us home.
That's your last question.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. She actually asked one of the questions, so it's an even shorter response. Kind of following up on Leader Brooks's questions around visitation. It's my understanding that inmates have 5 names if they get on a list for any of the visits, in person, virtual, what have you. Why? Like, why is it capped at 5, especially since you have less population since, which is great news, of course. Any plans to extend that if there isn't a real rhyme or reason at this point anymore?
So thanks for the question, Councilman. That issue came up when we implemented the tablets. So there was not an unlimited amount of visits that we could provide under the tablets because that information has to be entered into the database. We have to do, we are doing background checks because those individuals can also come up and visit in person. Those 5 are not set in stone. Inmates can change the people on their list. 90 days? Every 90 days, you can update, change, add, delete. So it was just a management issue without
it's
it
a tech
becoming
issue.
unwieldy.
It's not a decision that you were saying you can only have these 5. Is there any way to make it easier as opposed to having to wait 90 days before you swap them out? I guess it probably isn't that. It doesn't sound to me like it's a big issue, but would there be any way to kind of work around that so folks don't have to feel like I have to update every 3 months who can come see me, who can't?
I don't know. I think we're constrained by the technology of the tablet vendor,
Okay.
and that was why those numbers were set.
Duly noted, duly noted.
Chairman is Councilman Jeffrey J. Young for a point of information.
Thank you. So they're only allowed to change every 90 days, and up at in our jails, most folks aren't there long, right? Because they're waiting for sentencing. I mean, they're waiting for court. So to limit them to 90 days doesn't really allow, I think, their supporters to really come up there to see them, to make sure that they're okay. If it's only every 90 days they get to change names out. So if I'm not there that long, then I may be missing some folks who want to come and support me while I'm in the most, difficult position that I'm in, that I probably will ever be in. So I just want to make that note for the record, Mr. President. Thank you.
Yeah, I actually thank the member for making that point. I recognize that you're constrained by the technology. I want to encourage you, especially picking back off of what Member Young just pointed out. If we can find a workaround around that, I think that would be a reasonable thing to do, a righteous thing to do.
And just to address the councilman, unfortunately, our length of stay is 244 days on average. So about 47% of the population is released within the first 14 days or less. Those that remain stay, on average, 244 days. Rather long for a county jail, but again, that is a function of court processing and not a result of any operational decisions that we make in the prison system.
In conclusion, could you break down the full options of support and programming that you have available to incarcerate individuals who are anticipating release? Just curious about what is there for those who are getting ready to get out.
Sure. So As you're aware, we are a county jail. We are not a prison. So the vast majority of our population are pretrial detainees. We don't know when they'll be released. They could come in and be gone within the first 14 days, or they could stay on average 244 days. We don't know. So planning for someone's discharge and release is a little difficult when they're pretrial. Our sentence population is about 8-9% of our population, much more easier to plan for discharge. And under the leadership of Deputy Commissioner Jaco, we are working to develop an assessment tool to determine what an inmate's particular needs are, then providing those services based upon the assessment while they're with us. And then, as I said, we started our reentry center in September of 2025. Ideally, when an inmate is released, all inmates that are released go to the reentry center when it's open, because that's where they get the money back that's on their inmate account, and that's where we have all of the service providers and our partners. But what would happen once we have our assessment plans and our tools, they would sit with a worker who would go over their assessment plan, their accomplishments inside the facility, and make linkages and connections to community service providers to follow up on that treatment plan. So that is ultimately the goal that we are striving to get to. We're just not there yet. We're in the process of developing that assessment tool and working with our consultant.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, top brass. We appreciate y'all for being here today. Mr. President, ready to go home, sir.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments from members of the committee? Hearing none, well, I want to thank you very much for your testimony. Continue to keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes Council Member Jamie Gautier for a motion at the public hearing and meeting on the bills and resolutions before the committee today stand in recess until Wednesday, April the 15th, 2026 at 10 a.m. in room 400, City Hall.
So moved.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the public hearing and meeting on the bills and resolution before the committee today stand in recess till Wednesday, April the 15th, 2026 at 10 a.m. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it, and this committee stands in recess until Wednesday, April the 15th of 2026, 10 a.m.